Have you ever stepped into a new situation, perhaps a social gathering or a professional meeting, and felt that immediate, almost involuntary urge to explain yourself? To launch into your life story, to lay out your credentials, to prove your worth, or to share every tiny detail as if it's the only way to validate your very presence. It's a common feeling, isn't it? We live in a world that constantly encourages us, even pushes us to be open, to embrace vulnerability, to become an open book, for everyone to read. But what if I told you that not every single page of your story needs to be read by everyone? What if I suggested that some chapters are best kept for a select few, or even just for yourself? Think about it for a moment. People are naturally, undeniably drawn to what they don't fully understand. When something is slightly out of reach, when it holds just a hint of the unknown, it becomes infinitely more intriguing, more captivating. This is precisely why mystery holds so much power. It doesn't just intrigue, it creates a sense of value. The very moment we reveal every single thing about ourselves, every thought, every emotion, every past experience, we inadvertently strip away that innate curiosity that makes us interesting, that encourages others to lean in and want to know more. Mystery isn't about being dishonest or deceptive. Not at all. Instead, it's about being intentional with what you choose to share, and crucially, when you choose to share it. Cast your mind back to some of the most captivating figures throughout history, or even charismatic individuals you've encountered in your own life. They weren't the ones who constantly broadcasted every fleeting thought, every raw feeling, or every intimate detail of their daily existence. Far from it. Instead, they shared strategically, almost artfully. They left just enough room for people to wonder, to speculate, to lean in closer, and, most importantly, to want more. This strategic restraint fuels a natural human craving. The human brain, you see, absolutely craves completion. It's wired to seek out patterns, to connect the dots. So, when we're presented with a situation where we don't have all the pieces, our minds instinctively begin to fill in those blanks. And what do we fill them with? Often, it's admiration, heightened interest, and a profound sense of intrigue. But, conversely, when everything is laid bare, when there are no more blanks to fill, that powerful illusion disappears. And with it, unfortunately, often goes the perceived value. Consider for a moment the sophisticated world of marketing and branding. Think about high-end luxury brands, for instance. They rarely advertise in the same ubiquitous, in-your-face way that mass-market brands do. You don't see them flooding every single possible channel with excessive, overwhelming information. Instead, they meticulously curate their message. They are selective, subtle, almost elusive. This careful curation doesn't just inform. It makes people want to seek them out, to discover them, rather than having every detail handed over up front. This powerful principle applies directly to human interaction as well. When you are genuinely selective about what you share, you dramatically elevate your presence. You naturally transform into someone worth knowing, someone people genuinely seek to understand, rather than someone who appears to be desperately seeking attention or validation. It's a subtle but profound shift in perception. Social media, for all its benefits, has undeniably conditioned us to believe that constant, unfiltered sharing is synonymous with genuine connection. We post every meal, every thought, every minor inconvenience, thinking it builds bridges. But in a rather ironic twist, oversharing can often have the exact opposite effect. The more predictable you become, the less genuine attention people actually pay. It's like watching a magician who reveals every single trick before the performance even begins. The wonder, the excitement, the awe, it all fades away, and what could have been an inspiring, magical experience simply becomes ordinary. This same fundamental concept applies universally to human relationships, whether they are deeply personal, strictly professional, or broadly social. A person who immediately shares every thought, every struggle, and every success, without any filter or discernment, quickly loses that vital air of intrigue that makes them truly memorable. They become, in a sense, a known quantity, and unfortunately, familiarity can sometimes breed a lack of genuine interest. Beyond intrigue, mystery also commands respect. When you don't reveal every single facet of your being, people tend to assume there's more to you beneath the surface. This unspoken assumption cultivates a powerful sense of depth and credibility. In stark contrast, when someone speaks excessively, often, and unfiltered about themselves, their deepest struggles, their triumphs, or their accomplishments, it frequently diminishes their actual influence. Their presence can, unfortunately, transform into mere noise rather than a meaningful impact. The most respected leaders, the profound thinkers, and the true visionaries throughout history, and in our present day, instinctively grasp the critical importance of restraint. They don't speak simply to fill a silence. They speak when their words are carefully considered, when they carry genuine weight, and when they truly matter. In the intricate dance of relationships, both personal and professional, that elusive element of mystery also fosters attraction. It keeps people genuinely engaged, wanting to learn more, to peel back another layer. When someone is excessively available, utterly predictable, or entirely open from the very outset, that exciting thrill of discovery evaporates. We observe this dynamic repeatedly in friendships, in dating, and even in the world of business. The very moment someone believes they have fully figured you out, the chase, the intrigue, the desire to explore further, it's essentially over. The most profound and lasting connections are built upon a gradual, organic unveiling of depth, not an immediate, overwhelming download of every single detail of your life. Maintaining an air of mystery certainly doesn't mean being distant, aloof, or inauthentic. Far from it. What it truly means is being thoughtful about what you choose to reveal, and, crucially, when you choose to reveal it. It involves understanding that not every single person you encounter, no matter how friendly, deserves immediate, unfiltered access to your most intimate thoughts, your deepest emotions, or the intricate history that has shaped you. By consciously holding back, you create a powerful sense of exclusivity. People instinctively appreciate what is earned, what they have invested time and effort in, far more than what is simply given freely without any effort on their part. Moreover, maintaining a degree of mystery empowers you with significant control over your own narrative. If you are constantly sharing every detail, every fleeting thought, you inadvertently allow others to define you, to construct their perception based solely on their interpretation of your words, which may often be incomplete or skewed. But when you strategically hold back, you retain immense power over how you are perceived. You dictate the pace at which others come to understand you, thereby ensuring that your true value, your genuine worth, is not taken for granted, but rather discovered and appreciated over time. In a world that ceaselessly demands transparency, remember this profound truth. Mystery is a potent form of strength. It acts as a protective shield for your vital energy. It safeguards your hard-earned influence, and it ensures that people genuinely see you as someone profoundly worth paying attention to, worth investing in. So, resist that immediate urge to reveal everything at once. Allow people the space to wonder. Let them earn access, and you will be astonished at how much more they come to value your presence, your insights, and your true self. Emotional vulnerability vs. emotional intelligence. A critical distinction here's a vital truth to internalize. Not everyone who enters your life deserves immediate or unrestricted access to your most private thoughts, your rawest emotions, or your deeply personal struggles. There's a widespread tendency to feel an unwritten obligation to explain ourselves, to share our entire stories, and to open up to anyone who simply asks or shows a modicum of interest. But the undeniable truth is, not everyone has genuinely earned the right to know you on that deeper, more intimate level. Access to your inner world, your vulnerabilities, your aspirations, your very essence should be considered a profound privilege, not an automatic given. Throughout life, we encounter a vast array of people. Some will genuinely uplift us, inspire us, and support our growth. Others will challenge us, perhaps even test our limits, but ultimately contribute to our resilience. And then there are those who, unfortunately, simply take from us, draining our energy without offering anything substantial in return. The common mistake we often make is assuming that all relationships are inherently equal, that everyone deserves the same level of openness and intimacy from us. But pause and consider this. Just as you wouldn't thoughtlessly hand a stranger the key to your home, a place of sanctuary and personal space, why would you thoughtlessly hand over the key to your mind, your heart, and your precious energy without careful consideration and discernment? Your personal information, your vulnerabilities, your cherished dreams, your deepest fears, these are incredibly valuable assets. When you share them indiscriminately, especially with the wrong people, you expose yourself to significant risks. You risk being profoundly misunderstood, unfairly judged, or, even worse, subtly manipulated. Some individuals, sadly, listen not to genuinely support you, to offer empathy, or to connect on a deeper level, but rather to gather information. They may take what you innocently share and, whether consciously or unconsciously, use it for their own advantage, perhaps through gossip, subtle control tactics, or even in competitive scenarios. The more extensively people know about your private world, your weaknesses, or your insecurities, the more opportunities they may perceive to influence your decisions, sometimes in ways that are entirely unaligned with your best interests. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away. It's fundamentally about protecting your peace, your emotional, mental, and spiritual peace. And when you are judiciously selective about who gains access to your profound emotions and intensely personal experiences, you powerfully ensure that your vital energy isn't squandered on those who simply don't have the capacity, or perhaps the intention, to genuinely appreciate it. True trust should be meticulously built over time, through consistent, observable actions, rather than merely through a flood of words. Just because someone appears friendly or expresses interest in your life doesn't automatically mean they should be granted immediate entry into the most private chambers of your thoughts and feelings. Reflect again on the most influential and highly respected individuals you know or admire. They don't indiscriminately share everything with everyone. They profoundly understand the immense value of discretion. They choose their confidants with meticulous wisdom, ensuring that those to whom they genuinely open up are individuals who demonstrably care for them, who have unequivocally proven their loyalty through consistent behavior, and who genuinely add significant value to their lives. The exact same powerful principle applies directly to you. Not everyone who smiles warmly at you has genuinely good intentions. Not everyone who patiently listens to your struggles is actually rooting for your success. Some, unfortunately, are merely collecting details, waiting for what they perceive as the opportune moment to leverage that information. There is also a very real emotional cost associated with being excessively open with too many people. The more you share, the more opinions you unwittingly invite into your mental space. Everyone, it seems, has advice, but not all advice is genuinely helpful or well-intentioned. When too many disparate voices flood your mind, it becomes exponentially harder to discern and hear your own inner voice, your own intuitive wisdom. You can easily find yourself starting to doubt your capabilities, questioning your chosen path, and making crucial decisions based on a desire for external validation rather than an inner sense of clarity and conviction. By consciously limiting access to your inner world, you effectively filter out unnecessary noise and maintain a laser-like focus on what genuinely matters to your well-being and growth. The stark reality we must confront is that some individuals, sadly, only seem to value you when you are at your most vulnerable, when you are struggling. They, regrettably, thrive on knowing your weaknesses, perhaps because it makes them feel inherently stronger or more in control. Others may genuinely enjoy the drama and emotional turbulence of your life, but have absolutely no real, vested interest in truly helping you grow or overcome your challenges. This is precisely why discernment is not just important, but absolutely crucial. You must cultivate the keen ability to differentiate between those who genuinely uplift you, empower you, and desire your true well-being, and those who simply revel in having unfettered access to your personal story, treating it as mere entertainment or a source of gossip. Being judiciously selective about who you open up to does not, I repeat, does not make you closed off, unapproachable, or cold. On the contrary, it makes you demonstrably wise. It signifies that you possess enough self-respect to vigilantly protect your precious peace of mind, your delicate emotions, and the unique, sacred journey of your personal growth. You owe no one an elaborate explanation for your boundaries. You are not obligated to justify why you choose to keep certain intimate aspects of your life private. Those who genuinely respect you, who truly value your authentic self, will understand and honor your boundaries without question. And, frankly, those who don't understand, those who push back or feel entitled to your private world, were, in the first place, never truly meant to have that deep access. The most robust, fulfilling, and enduring relationships are meticulously built on a foundation of mutual trust. A trust that is earned incrementally over time through consistent, reliable behavior. If someone is genuinely meant to know your struggles, your cherished dreams, and your true, unvarnished self, they will irrefutably prove it through their unwavering consistency, their empathetic support, and their tangible, positive actions. Until then, make it your unwavering priority to guard your energy, to fiercely protect your personal space, and to always remember that not everyone, despite their smiles or apparent interest, deserves immediate, unfettered access to the most valuable, vulnerable, and sacred parts of you. Influence, whether in leadership, personal interactions, or professional settings, is meticulously built on a foundation of positive perception, unwavering trust, and the intrinsic ability to inspire, guide, or positively impact others. However, one of the fastest, most insidious ways to inadvertently weaken your influence is through oversharing. In a world that relentlessly encourages constant, even performative, openness, we are often led to believe that sharing every minute detail of our lives makes us somehow more relatable, more authentic, and ultimately more trustworthy. Yet, the opposite is often the profound truth. When you share too much, too frequently, and without careful consideration, you inevitably dilute your message, significantly weaken your impactful presence, and tragically, diminish the inherent respect people hold for you. The most genuinely influential individuals intuitively grasp the immense power of restraint. They don't feel any pressing need to broadcast every fleeting thought, every personal struggle, or every professional success to the entire world. Instead, they choose their words with exquisite care, with a deliberate intention, sharing only what genuinely adds value, what unmistakably strengthens their credibility, or what serves a clear, defined purpose. When you overshare, you run the considerable risk of making your once impactful presence feel utterly ordinary, even commonplace. Stop insecure, a genuinely listening because they feel vulnerable truth that lives behind our masks, that they already know absolutely everything about you, leaving no room for curiosity or further discovery. Oversharing also, quite unfortunately, makes it significantly harder for people to take you seriously, to regard you with the gravity your position or wisdom deserves. Consider this. If a leader, a revered mentor, or a seasoned professional constantly and without filter discusses their personal struggles, their persistent self-doubt, or their deepest insecurities, their authority, their very aura of leadership inevitably diminishes. It's crucial to understand that vulnerability, in its pure form, is not inherently bad. On the contrary, vulnerability can be incredibly powerful when shared intentionally, with purpose, and with the right audience. But when it becomes excessive, when it transforms into a continuous cascade of self-disclosure, it tragically shifts from being inspiring to becoming overwhelming. Instead of seeing you as a strong, capable, and composed individual, people may unfairly begin to perceive you as someone who perhaps lacks self-control, emotional discipline, or even fundamental confidence. Another significant, often overlooked, danger of oversharing is that it renders you far more susceptible to unsolicited criticism, harsh judgment, and even subtle manipulation. The more extensively people know about your weaknesses, your personal struggles, or even your carefully laid plans, the more leverage they potentially have to use against you, should their intentions be less than honorable. It's a sobering truth that not everyone in your audience, not everyone who appears to be listening intently, genuinely has your best interests at heart. Some individuals, for their own complex reasons, gather information not with the intent to support you, but, regrettably, to undermine you, to gain an advantage, or to fuel their own narratives. The more you gratuitously expose yourself, the more profoundly vulnerable you become, not in a way that cultivates genuine, deep connection, but rather in a way that can invite unnecessary complications, unforeseen problems, and even exploitation. Consider the tangible impact of oversharing within professional settings. If a leader consistently shares their deep uncertainties about a critical project, their personal financial struggles, or their unbridled frustrations with the team, their employees will inevitably begin to question their capability, their judgment, and their steadfastness. The same critical principle applies to burgeoning entrepreneurs, creative artists, and prominent public figures. If you reveal too much too soon, you unwittingly sow seeds of doubt in the minds of others, doubt that can be incredibly difficult to dispel. Instead of being consistently seen as a strong, self-assured leader, you might, unfortunately, become someone who is perceived as perpetually needing validation and constant reassurance. Even within the comforting confines of personal relationships, oversharing can prove to be profoundly detrimental. When you share absolutely everything with everyone, you inadvertently make it incredibly difficult for people to genuinely appreciate your presence, to cherish the depth of your being. The thrilling excitement of gradual discovery simply disappears, replaced by an overwhelming familiarity. Imagine meeting someone for the first time who, within mere minutes of conversation, launches into their entire life story, a relentless torrent of their struggles, their personal drama, their emotional highs, and their devastating lows. While it might initially feel like an instant, intense connection, over time, that overwhelming disclosure almost invariably becomes emotionally exhausting for the listener. People, by and large, profoundly appreciate relationships that unfold organically and naturally, where trust is meticulously built, and deeper, more meaningful conversations blossom and evolve over time, not all at once in an overwhelming rush. There's also the crucial issue of credibility. If you are constantly sharing every minor setback, every fleeting frustration, and every small, inconvenient obstacle, people may, over time, begin to perceive you as someone who tends to dwell on problems rather than actively and effectively solving them. Truly impactful leaders, respected professionals, and even cherished friends hold those in high esteem who possess the quiet strength to navigate their challenges with grace and resilience, without making every single issue a public spectacle. The inherent ability to process difficulties privately, to wrestle with them internally, and to share only what is absolutely necessary, makes you appear significantly stronger, more composed, and remarkably capable. Being meticulously selective with your words and your personal disclosures isn't about being secretive, enigmatic, or aloof. It's about being profoundly strategic. It's about deeply understanding that genuine influence is meticulously built not by the sheer volume of words you utter, but by the undeniable weight and profound impact of what you choose to say. People genuinely listen, truly pay attention, to those who speak with clear purpose, with deliberate intent. When every single detail of your life is freely, indiscriminately shared, your words, sadly, begin to lose their inherent power, their gravitas. But when you share with conscious intention, people instinctively lean in, they listen with heightened attention, and they absorb your words with greater reverence. If you genuinely aspire to maintain and enhance your influence, make a conscious effort to resist that ingrained urge to overshare. Speak only when it genuinely adds value. Share experiences that inspire, that teach valuable lessons, or that genuinely strengthen your relationships. Hold back when sharing serves no discernible purpose other than to fill a comfortable silence, or to merely seek fleeting external validation. The less you indiscriminately say, the more profound and lasting impact your carefully chosen words will ultimately have. Trust is not a commodity that is built overnight, nor is it freely given without any effort or discernment. It is a precious asset, meticulously earned through unwavering consistency, undeniable reliability, and profound discretion. One of the most profoundly effective ways to build deep, enduring trust is through controlled exposure. This involves carefully revealing just enough about yourself to genuinely foster connection, while simultaneously maintaining crucial boundaries that rigorously protect your credibility, your influence, and your sense of self. When people receive information about you gradually, in carefully measured doses, they are far more likely to respect and deeply value what is shared. Conversely, when an overwhelming amount of personal detail is revealed too quickly, it can inadvertently create doubt, lead to emotional overwhelm, or even diminish trust entirely by creating a sense of unease or insincerity. Controlled exposure allows others to genuinely see who you are, layer by layer, over time, rather than being instantly flooded with an indiscriminate deluge of personal details all at once. When we encounter someone new, whether in a deeply personal capacity or a structured professional setting, our initial instinct might be to immediately forge a connection by opening up extensively, by sharing generously. However, it's a critical point that trust is not genuinely built by oversharing. Instead, it is painstakingly built through a gradual, deliberate process of earned confidence. When we are discerningly selective about what we choose to reveal, we empower others to invest their time and effort in truly getting to know us at a steady, natural, and comfortable pace. Imagine a respected leader who, in a moment of perceived vulnerability, shares every single fear, every shred of uncertainty, or every personal challenge with their entire team. While genuine vulnerability can indeed be a profound strength in leadership, excessive and unfiltered openness, without context or discernment, can inadvertently create significant doubt in the minds of their followers. A leader who, on the other hand, carefully shares a few select challenges with their team, while simultaneously maintaining a profound sense of composure and quiet confidence, will invariably earn far more respect and trust than one who constantly offloads every personal concern onto their subordinates. People inherently trust those who appear to be thoughtfully in control of themselves, their complex emotions, and their personal information. In the intricate tapestry of relationships, both personal and professional, controlled exposure plays a pivotal role in establishing deeper, more resilient bonds without inadvertently risking or undermining trust. When someone reveals everything about themselves too soon, it can feel forced, emotionally overwhelming, or even deeply insincere, creating a subtle barrier rather than a bridge. On the other hand, when intimate details are shared intentionally, thoughtfully, and incrementally over a period of time, it cultivates a powerful sense of authenticity and emotional stability. Trust truly blossoms not because someone shares every single thing, but precisely because they share the right things with the right people at the opportune moments. The profound concept of controlled exposure also extends directly to the realm of credibility. Those who consistently speak with intentional restraint and measured deliberation are almost always perceived as significantly more trustworthy and credible than those who constantly, and perhaps impulsively, share every detail of their thoughts and emotions. Think deeply about the striking difference between an individual who meticulously chooses their words, weighing each one before utterance, versus someone who thoughtlessly, even compulsively, shares every single detail of their internal monologue. The person who consistently exercises discretion is invariably seen as more reliable, more composed, and possessing greater wisdom. Another absolutely vital aspect of controlled exposure is the invaluable ability to subtly gauge the trustworthiness of others before you reveal too much of your inner world. This is a crucial protective measure. Not everyone, as we've discussed, deserves immediate or unearned access to your personal struggles, your most cherished dreams, or your inevitable setbacks. By consciously controlling the degree to which you expose your private self, you grant yourself the invaluable time and space to observe, to assess, and to truly discern whether the other person is genuinely supportive, empathetic, and trustworthy, or simply driven by a fleeting curiosity or a desire for information. This practice not only diligently protects your highly personal information, but also actively ensures that you are intentionally surrounded by individuals who genuinely value, respect, and positively contribute to your life. One of the fundamental reasons why controlled exposure so powerfully builds trust is that it unequivocally demonstrates a high level of emotional intelligence. When someone instinctively knows what to share, when to share it, and crucially, with whom to share it, it vividly showcases an admirable level of self-awareness, self-discipline, and social acumen. People are intrinsically drawn to those who intuitively understand the delicate and nuanced balance between genuine openness and healthy restraint. An individual who reveals too much, too indiscriminately, can often come across as desperate for external validation, which can be off-putting. In contrast, someone who shares thoughtfully, with clear intention and discernment, invariably appears strong, secure, and self-possessed. In professional settings, particularly, controlled exposure significantly enhances both leadership effectiveness and overall influence. A leader who thoughtlessly reveals too much personal information might, unfortunately, inadvertently appear unstable or lacking in professional gravitas. Conversely, a leader who carefully shares meticulously selected insights, challenges, and perspectives can powerfully inspire confidence, instill loyalty, and motivate their team. The same holds true for visionary entrepreneurs, impactful public figures, and seasoned professionals across all industries. Those who master the art of effectively managing their own narratives are significantly more likely to be trusted, deeply respected, and, ultimately, profoundly influential. Ultimately, trust is not, and never has been, about the sheer quantity of what we share. Instead, it is profoundly about how intentionally and discerningly we share. It is about meticulously creating an unshakable sense of reliability and consistency, where others implicitly know that what you say holds genuine weight, that your words matter, and that your presence is to be respected. When you consciously control your exposure, you retain your personal power, you diligently protect your vital personal boundaries, and you powerfully ensure that the trust you meticulously build is genuinely authentic, deeply meaningful, and enduringly lasting. Those discerning individuals who truly grasp the invaluable power of gradual, intentional disclosure will invariably be perceived as more trustworthy, profoundly reliable, and significantly more influential in every sphere of their lives. Silence is, perhaps, one of the most consistently misunderstood and undervalued forms of communication. In a world that often disproportionately rewards those who speak the loudest, those who fill every void with their voice, many people unfortunately fail to recognize the profound, strategic power of simply saying nothing at all. Silence is not a weakness. It is not an absence. It is, unequivocally, a potent strategy. It serves as an indispensable tool, wielded with great precision by the most influential and highly respected individuals, enabling them to maintain unwavering control, to command immediate respect, and to navigate even the most complex and volatile situations with remarkable clarity and quiet authority. Mastering the art of knowing precisely when to speak, and, perhaps more crucially, when to remain thoughtfully silent, is one of the single greatest skills you can ever cultivate, both in your personal relationships and in your professional career. One of the most potent, yet subtle, aspects of silence is its remarkable ability to create a compelling presence. When someone habitually talks excessively, when their words flow unendingly, their utterances inevitably begin to lose their individual weight, their inherent significance. But when a person speaks only when it is genuinely necessary, when their words are carefully chosen and delivered with clear intent, people instinctively lean in. They listen with heightened attention. Their words naturally carry far more significance and profound meaning because they are not carelessly wasted. They are not simply fillers for empty air. Silence, strategically deployed, compels others to pay attention, to lean in closer, to wonder what profound thoughts might be occupying your mind. It meticulously creates an air of intrigue, thereby making your presence far more valuable, more impactful, and certainly more memorable. Furthermore, silence is an incredibly insightful tool for observation. When you consciously choose to listen intently instead of speaking incessantly, you gain privileged access to invaluable information that others might inadvertently reveal. People, in their eagerness to fill an uncomfortable silence, often reveal far more about themselves, their true intentions, or their hidden agendas than they realize. In high-stakes negotiations, for example, A period of sustained silence from your side can often make the other party deeply uncomfortable, subtly pressuring them to reveal their true position, their bottom line, or their underlying anxieties. In casual conversations, strategic silence allows you to read between the lines, to discern the unspoken motivations, to understand what is truly being communicated beyond the mere words themselves. Those astute individuals who instinctively know how to use silence as a strategic tool often gain a significant upper hand because they perceive critical nuances and hidden truths that others, caught in the incessant chatter, completely miss. Another profoundly important reason why silence is so powerful is that it adeptly prevents unnecessary conflict, trivial arguments, and avoidable misunderstandings. It's a bitter truth that not every single battle is genuinely worth fighting, and certainly, not every passing opinion needs to be voiced, especially when uninvited. So many people inadvertently damage their reputation, their relationships, and their professional standing simply by speaking impulsively, without thinking critically about the ramifications of their words. They react emotionally in the heat of the moment, utter things they later deeply regret, or engage in futile arguments that serve no constructive purpose whatsoever. But those who have truly mastered the art of silence deeply understand that not every single situation, not every perceived slight, demands an immediate verbal response. Sometimes the wisest, most dignified, and most effective way to maintain your respect, your composure, and your peace is to simply say nothing at all. Silence also serves as an incredible tool for self-control and emotional regulation. When emotions are running high, when frustration or anger threatens to overwhelm, the immediate primal instinct is often to react impulsively, to lash out verbally, or to defend oneself with immediate words. However, reacting impulsively, driven by unbridled emotion, can almost invariably lead to poor decisions, regrettable statements, and unnecessary complications that only exacerbate the situation. By consciously choosing to remain silent, even for a few brief moments, you grant yourself the invaluable mental space to process your swirling thoughts, to objectively evaluate the intricate dynamics of the situation, and to formulate a considered, strategic response that genuinely serves your best interests and maintains your dignity. This remarkable level of emotional discipline not only prevents costly mistakes, but also, crucially, earns immense respect from everyone around you. In the realm of leadership, silence is an absolutely essential, non-negotiable skill. The most effective leaders do not feel the compulsive need to fill every single moment with their own words, to dominate every conversation. Instead, they lead by example, by listening intently, by observing acutely, and by speaking only when their words will carry significant weight, when they will truly resonate and have a profound impact. They instinctively understand that silence, far from being a vacuum, actually creates a powerful sense of authority, a quiet gravitas. When a leader speaks less but communicates far more effectively with their carefully chosen words, their presence is not just heard, but deeply felt, and their influence becomes demonstrably stronger, more pervasive, and more enduring. On the contrary, those leaders who incessantly talk, who dominate every conversation without truly listening, often, and very quickly, lose their credibility and their ability to inspire. Silence also functions as a powerful, unspoken form of setting boundaries. It subtly but firmly communicates to others that you will not always immediately respond, that you are not easily manipulated by their words or demands, and that your energy, your time, and your attention are precious and valuable commodities. When you steadfastly refuse to engage in unproductive drama, participate in petty gossip, or descend into meaningless, circular discussions. You communicate a deep sense of self-respect, a quiet dignity. People gradually learn that if they genuinely desire your attention, if they wish to engage with you, they must bring something of genuine value to the conversation, something constructive and respectful. One of the greatest, yet often overlooked, strengths of silence is that it grants you unparalleled control over your own narrative. When you speak less, when you are more judicious with your words, you inadvertently provide people with significantly less material to misunderstand, to misinterpret, or to maliciously twist against you. The more freely and openly you reveal, the more opportunities others, whether intentionally or unintentionally, have to misjudge you, to project their own biases onto your story, or to create a narrative that is not truly your own. But when you consciously choose to keep certain intimate things to yourself, when you maintain a thoughtful reserve, you retain significant power over how you are perceived, ensuring that your true essence is slowly revealed on your own terms. Ultimately, silence is not about withholding your true self, about being deceptive, or about being unapproachable. It is, profoundly, about using your voice with utmost wisdom, with deliberate intention, and with strategic precision. It is about thoughtfully choosing when to engage, when to contribute, and, crucially, when to gracefully let things pass, to allow moments to unfold without your immediate verbal intervention. It is about deeply understanding that sometimes the most powerful statement, the most impactful communication, is the one that is gracefully and intentionally left unsaid. Those rare individuals who truly master the subtle yet profound art of silence navigate the complexities of life with greater ease, command a far deeper and more enduring respect from others, and wield a level of quiet influence that simply cannot be ignored or underestimated. Personal power is not, fundamentally, about exerting control over others. It is, instead, deeply rooted in control over yourself, your precious time, your vital energy, and your delicate emotional well-being. The very foundation, the bedrock, of this profound personal power lies in the unwavering establishment and consistent enforcement of boundaries. Boundaries are those invisible, yet incredibly potent, lines that meticulously define what is truly acceptable to you and what is unequivocally not, what you consciously choose to allow into your life and what you rigorously keep out. They serve as an indispensable shield, protecting your mental and emotional health, significantly strengthening your relationships, and ensuring, above all, that you remain firmly in charge of your own compelling narrative. Without these clearly defined and consistently maintained boundaries, you become dangerously vulnerable to manipulation, susceptible to chronic exhaustion, and tragically, prone to a gradual but profound loss of self-respect. One of the most undeniable indicators of robust personal power is the unwavering ability to confidently say no. Many people, understandably, struggle immensely with this simple, yet incredibly powerful, two-letter word. This struggle often stems from a deep-seated fear of disappointing others, of being perceived as selfish, or of alienating those around them. But in reality, saying no, when it aligns with your true needs and values, is one of the single most crucial ways to fiercely protect your invaluable energy, your time, and your mental space. Every single time you acquiesce and say yes to something that drains your energy, that depletes your reserves, or that conflicts with your priorities, you are, by extension, implicitly saying no to something that could genuinely empower you, rejuvenate you, or propel you forward on your own path. Individuals who habitually lack clear boundaries often find themselves perpetually overwhelmed, constantly attempting to meet the endless expectations and demands of others, while tragically neglecting their own fundamental needs and desires. But those who consciously set and consistently enforce clear, firm limits gain an unparalleled sense of control over their time and their life choices, thereby ensuring that they meticulously prioritize what genuinely matters most to their well-being and fulfillment. Boundaries also, crucially, dictate how others interact with and treat you. The specific way in which you permit others to engage with you, the behaviors you tolerate, sends an unmistakable message about what you will and will not accept into your personal space. If you consistently accept disrespect, tolerate inconsistency in behavior, or endure chronic emotional drain from those in your immediate circle, they will, inevitably and predictably, continue to test those limits, pushing further into your comfort zone. But when you courageously establish and consistently enforce clear, non-negotiable boundaries, you are, in essence, actively teaching people how to genuinely respect you. Those who truly value and appreciate you will adapt their behavior accordingly, recognizing and honoring your limits. And those who don't, those who resist or resent your boundaries, will quite naturally begin to drift away, thereby creating valuable space in your life for healthier, more respectful, and more mutually beneficial connections. In the sphere of professional life, boundaries are absolutely essential for meticulously maintaining your credibility, preserving your mental well-being, and enhancing your influence. Many people mistakenly believe that saying yes to every single opportunity, always being available at all hours, and perpetually being agreeable will somehow help them advance their careers more rapidly. However, the most successful and impactful individuals universally understand that true personal power, in a professional context, stems from deeply knowing their own worth, understanding their unique contributions, and setting crystal clear professional boundaries. They do not allow their work to consume their entire identity, nor do they passively tolerate being undervalued or overworked. They vigilantly protect their time, meticulously ensuring that their efforts are consistently respected, appropriately compensated, and that their professional energy is wisely invested. Emotional boundaries are every bit as critically important as physical ones, though often less tangible. Not everyone, regardless of their relationship to you, deserves unrestricted access to your deepest thoughts, your most tender feelings, or your profound struggles. As we've explored, oversharing can leave you dangerously vulnerable to unwarranted judgment, destructive gossip, or insidious manipulation. When you consciously control what you choose to share, and, more importantly, with whom you share it, you steadfastly maintain power over your own unique, personal story. It's a profound truth that not every single person is a safe emotional space. Recognizing this fundamental distinction allows you to proactively protect your invaluable emotional well-being, preserving your inner peace from potential harm. Boundaries, it's critical to understand, are not just about keeping unwanted things out of your life. They are equally, if not more, about intentionally letting the right things in. When you establish and uphold healthy, robust boundaries, you create a sacred, fertile space within your life, a space conducive to profound personal growth, for cultivating truly meaningful and reciprocal relationships, and for experiencing greater, more authentic fulfillment. You consciously attract people who genuinely respect your core values, who sincerely uplift you rather than draining your vital energy. Instead of feeling resentful, exhausted, and constantly stretched thin from perpetually trying to please others, you gain an unparalleled sense of clarity, an unwavering confidence in your decisions, and a deeper connection to your authentic self. One of the biggest, most persistent misconceptions about boundaries is that they somehow push people away, alienating those you care about. In reality, they do the precise opposite. They strengthen relationships. When you set clear, articulated boundaries, you cultivate a powerful sense of transparency and honesty. People then know exactly where they stand with you, what to expect, and what your limits are, which in turn effectively removes common sources of confusion, resentment, and frustration. Healthy relationships, regardless of their nature, personal, professional, or social, are meticulously built upon a foundation of mutual understanding, respect, and clearly communicated expectations, and your personal boundaries are the indispensable foundation of that crucial understanding. Ultimately, at its very core, personal power is profoundly about self-respect. It is about valuing your finite time, your precious energy, and your sacred emotional space enough to rigorously protect them from infringement. It is simply not your inherent job, your life's purpose, or your responsibility to endlessly accommodate everyone else's needs and desires at the direct expense of your own well-being, your inner peace, or your authentic self. When you courageously enforce your boundaries, you are, in essence, powerfully reinforcing your own self-worth, your inherent value. You are unequivocally teaching people that you will not, under any circumstances, be taken for granted. In doing so, you gain an undeniable surge of confidence, a refreshing clarity of purpose, and a profound, empowering sense of control over the trajectory of your own life. The truly strongest individuals are not those who tirelessly attempt to do everything for everyone, who always say yes, and who constantly seek external validation. They are instead the wise ones who instinctively know precisely when to confidently say no, when to gracefully walk away from draining situations, and when to stand firm, unwavering in their convictions. They deeply understand that genuine, sustainable personal power resides not in perpetually pleasing others, but in consistently honoring themselves, their needs, their values, and their personal truth. Boundaries are not restrictive barriers that limit your life. On the contrary, they are the very foundational pillars of your strength, the unwavering testament to your self-respect, and the gateway to true, unadulterated personal freedom.